Hi everyone, I'm Stan, Product Manager at Ellie, and today we're going to look into different forward engineering workflows that you can do with Ellie.ai. So when doing forward engineering with Ellie, there are multiple ways how you can share information that you create in Ellie with other tools or platforms. One of the most common ones is using our REST API, which provides you information about models, entities, or folders using JSON structure of our REST API. You can also do forward engineering with other tools. For example, we have a YAML generator for dbt, and also our partners like Warescape, Data Vault Builder, and VaultSpeed have their own connectors that using our API can fetch the information and use it in their Data Vault tools. You can also create DDLs for different warehouses like Microsoft Fabric and Snowflake. And you can also send information to your Git version control tool like AzureDevOps directly from Ellie. During today's demo, we are going to go through all of these workflows. So we'll quickly create a conceptual model from which we'll create a logical and then physical. And then I'll show you how you can share information for all of these different options. Let's start by opening Ellie. And I already have a conceptual model created. So in the model, I have a basic structure of different entities. And I'm going to press convert and create a logical model. So the idea is that when you are done working with your conceptual model, you would then move to the logical level. Here, I would probably add additional attributes. If there are any missing entities, for example, there's a many-to-many relationship, I would add a bridge table and so on. And when I'm done with that, I would press the convert button again and create a physical model. Finishing the model would take some time, so I'm just going to open a ready-made model. And our end model for a logistics hub in this case would look something like this. So when I'm done with my physical model, what do I do next? How do I share the information with my other tools? Let's start by creating a DDL. So to create a DDL in Ellie, you just go to the left sidebar. You select the database engine that you would like to use. For this demo, I'm going to use Snowflake. And since all my relationships are defined correctly, I already have the attributes for my tables. I can just press the Generate SQL button, and my DDL has been created. So what do you do with it? Well, you can copy it, and if you put it into your Snowflake worksheet, it will just work out of the box. So you don't have to make any changes. So I've created an empty schema for my Acme Inc. Called Testing DDL. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste the DDL that we got from Ellie into my Snowflake worksheet. I'm then going to run all. And in a couple of seconds, my database schema will be created in Snowflake. And there we go. Everything is created. So if I will go to my database, just to check, I will go to my Acme Inc. and I will find that test DDL. And we can see that all the tables have been created. So working with Snowflake for forward engineering from Ellie is very straightforward. Once you create your physical model, just copy the DDL, paste it to your worksheet, and boom, you have a working schema in your Snowflake. Another way you can share information from Ellie with another tool is by sharing your model, so the DDL, to your Git. So in this case, I'm going to show you how you can share this information with AzureDevOps. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the database engine to Fabric Lakehouse. And I am going to generate a Fabric Lakehouse specific DDL. And here what you can see is I have this icon, which basically lets me push my DDL to Azure DevOps. You can set it up in your admin tools. So if you go to connectors, you can create your Azure DevOps connection and then set to which folders it should be available, or you can restrict it and who can use it. You can define all of this in the settings. But I'm going to go back to the model and show you how it actually works. So I'm going to generate the DDL. And then I'm going to press this push to Azure DevOps button. Since I already have a predefined connection, I'm going to select the branch. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to use the main branch. And let's call the DDL, this is a demo DDL. And essentially what you can do is you can select the directory where you should save this DDL. In this case, I'm just going to save it in root. And of course, you need to define the file name of your SQL file, the DDL file, and then you can add a commit message. So demo DDL. I'm now going to press push. And what will happen next is my DDL will be pushed to my Azure DevOps repository. So I'm going to go to the repo. I will refresh the page. And you can see that the DDL has been pushed to my Azure DevOps. You can then use it in your lakehouse. So the DDL works out of the box. So you can just take it to your Fabric lakehouse and create the schema. Another way you can expose your physical data model information to another tool is by creating a dbt YAML file. So how it works is if you press this triple dot menu button, you can go to export and you can export a model as dbt YAML. Let's go and open this YAML file in our Visual Studio Code and see how it looks in practice. And here's our YAML file. Essentially what it lets you do is create a reference of what should be the end look for your model in dbt. So here we have the information of what are the expected entities or tables and what are the attributes that they should have. You can use this information to share with your analytics engineers the information of what are you expecting from them at the end of the day as they're working on their transformations and data models. And finally, let's look at one more way how you can expose the information from Ellie to other tools is using the API. So our REST API lets you basically do anything you want with the information from Ellie. To access the API, you need to generate an API key, which if you're an admin, you can go to the API settings and generate a token. And if you want to get familiar with our API, you can go to our documentation. And if you go to the API page, there's the information about all the endpoints we have, how the payloads look, and how you can use the API. You can also test it directly in this page by providing your slug and then the needed parameters for a specific endpoint. To show you how this works in practice, I've set up my own Databricks DDL generator. So it's a little side app I made outside of Ellie. And I'm just going to show you how using our API, you can do all sorts of things. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm generating a very specific Databricks DDL by pulling the physical model information from Ellie and then setting up specific parameters for my DDL and then generating it for my Databricks. So to fetch a model, I have put my model ID. So in this case, the way you find it is if I go to my logistics hub, I'll open the model. And I'm just going to take this ID. So the ID you see in the navigation bar, 173, is the ID of my model. So I've pasted it here and I've also inputted my API token. I also provided my slug and I'm going to fetch the model. So if I go to my JSON, I can see the model. So this is how the model looks as JSON provided from the REST API. And then my small tool lets me kind of configure how do I want to generate the DDL. So I want to create the database. I want to include the primary key information, delta formats, alter the table to add primary foreign key relationships and additional information. And then I'm going to generate the DDL. And the cool part about this is that I was able to do this app all by my own, just by using the API. So I pulled the information from the JSON, and then I'm able to, using that JSON information, create a DDL specifically for my needs. You can use our API for all sorts of things like this one, or by sharing information to a specific tool for different types of forward engineering. But essentially, the API lets you do anything you wish using Ellie. So as you can see, forward engineering with Ellie can be done in so many ways, whether it is using our API, connecting to different tools, or creating dbt YAML. There are so many ways to do forward engineering from Ellie to your other tools. If you have any questions or you need some other tools that you would like to connect to Ellie, let us know. Send us an email at support@Ellie.ai. But as you can see, there are so many ways. And it is really up to you to figure out the workflow that works specifically for your organization. Thank you for your time. I'm Dmitriev, product manager at Ellie. Bye.